What's going on, everybody? Welcome in Fantasy Alarm live stream. I'm your host, Howard Bender, at Roto Buzz Guy, and with me here, of course, my man John Impemba. What's up, John? Happy Monday, man, dude. How'd Week 5 treat you so far?
Yeah, Week 5 wasn't the worst. Obviously we all had parts of that Falcons-Steelers game. I think we had the right parts of the Falcons. Obviously, we had some Julio, but we were both really in on Sanu, and that, hit for us. And then, Julio and Big Ben and all those guys came through on the other side for that big game. I think aside from, having to deal with Aaron Rodgers' tremendous second half, which kind of sunk some of my lineups where I didn't have him. Otherwise, Week 5 was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was an interesting week, to say the least. There were a lot of things that did go right. There were a lot of things that did go wrong. I did my
crushed the dartboard. We crushed the dartboard again.
Right, Marquez Valdez-Scantling was one. Wendell Smallwood was the other. And you know what? Actually, speaking of Wendell Smallwood, we might as well just jump right on the immediate news right now before we start talking about tonight's game. Jay Ajayi, Adam Schefter tweeted out, torn ACL. He's done for the season. This news broke while I was on the Fantasy Alarm show, and so the question really is who's the next man up? I gave my opinion. I think that, as far as if you're going to own somebody out of this backfield, I'm still kind of stuck on Smallwood. He seems to be the guy who's always going to be getting touches. But talk to me here, your thoughts on Josh Adams versus Corey Clement. I guess we could throw Sproles in there, but I don't really think we need to.
No, what did I say? It was 2 weeks ago. I said, Wendell Smallwood, for whatever reason, the coaches like him. He just sort of always is going to have a role in this offense. I think Corey Clement's the more talented running back, but he's been dealing with his own injuries. Sproles has been inactive since week 1. I think he got injured in week 1 and hasn't been active since. I think this is Wendell Smallwood's backfield. He can catch the football, he can run between the tackles. I think he's the guy you need to go out and get, and he's pretty much available everywhere. Nobody's been owning Wendell Smallwood. The small percentages over the last week maybe, but he's got to be under 10%, I think, across all formats.
He probably is. I actually, believe it or not, I freaking started him in one league the other day because I had nobody. It was literally Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette, Jordan Howard, top 3 running backs right there for my roster on this league. And I was like, oh yeah, Wendell Smallwood, he's going to be great. Maybe I could start a little Mark Walton in there too. Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about tonight's action here. Why not? Let's get down and dirty. Let's talk about this game. I posted some example lineups for the Monday-Thursday slate. Now, let me ask you, one of the things that I did with my lineups here is that on one lineup I went heavy with the Saints. Another lineup I went a little heavier with the Redskins, because I think when you're talking about which game is going to go off the most, I feel like it's tonight as opposed to Giants-Eagles division series. They always play each other tough. So I don't know. Am I off base on that one, you think?
No, I think I think tonight's game is going to be more chalky than the Wednesday. The Thursday game, because like you said, Eagles-Giants always kind of a very close matchup. Some of the offenses there are up and down a little bit as well. You have the Saints playing at home in a dome. You also get to put the Redskins in a dome and some of their quick players. Chris Thompson. I know, Paul Richardson, guys like that. Jamison Crowder, Jordan Reed. I think tonight's definitely the game that everybody's going to be playing. And you have to. I think this is a spot where I'm expecting a lot of points to be scored, as is Vegas. There's obviously some questions, how big of a role is Mark Ingram going to play tonight? How's that going to affect Alvin Kamara? Those are the things that would be interesting to watch tonight. But I think, if you're playing the Monday, Thursday, or rather in the Monday Night Showdown, then you have to go kind of Saints tonight for sure.
All right, so give me your thoughts here on who really is the play, who really is the team that you want the biggest piece of. Obviously, if you're talking about the showdown and you're leaning a little bit more heavily on the Saints, I get that. But when I'm talking, let's go specific players, and let's start off in the backfield first of all. Ingram versus Kamara. How much work do you see Ingram getting? I've heard people talking about 10 touches. I've heard people getting 15 carries here, even split with Alvin Kamara. Which way are you leaning?
So, the one thing that you have to kind of notice with Kamara, for more often than not is he doesn't rush a ton. They use him as like the short passing game as part of the rushing attack when he's on the field. So I can almost see instances where both are on the field, and Ingram's the one that's probably going to get the majority of the carries. Price wise, Kamara's the highest priced player in the game. I think you still have to kind of go with him in that direction, just because his PPR format's on DraftKings, half point over on FanDuel. He can go for 15 catches and 120 yards like we saw earlier this season as a running back. So, I think he's still the guy you have to lean on, but I think Ingram's going to get a lot of carries, and I wonder if they get down to the goal line, if Ingram's going to start taking some of those touches as well.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's why I'm wondering, do I stay with Kamara? Like, here's like the game flow situation. I kind of feel like, obviously it could go, the Redskins shut down the Saints completely. The Saints shut down the Redskins completely and run away with it. Or these two teams play pretty tightly and go back and forth, which then to me says maybe more Kamara snaps-wise than Ingram. But again, I'm just trying to figure out, whether you do that. When you're playing a short slate like this, John, how inclined are you to use both Kamara and Ingram? Yeah,
I'm not going to go against it. The one thing we've learned, obviously, about these short slates is also, though, is you need to be contrarian. I don't think Ingram's going to be that low owned. I think a lot of people are going to kind of go with the two running back, route there. But I don't think you can fade Kamara in these type of slates, because if he goes off for, 30, 40 points and he's 80% owned, then you lose. So I think you need Kamara on these small slates regardless. It's one of those things where if he doesn't do anything, well, then you're in the majority anyways. So right. I think you have to play Kamara regardless. The one thing I'm a little bit not necessarily worried about is, the Redskins don't exactly have this like high-powered downfield offense. So I question about really how many points are going to be scored, even though New Orleans has been so bad defensively. Like, does Alex Smith and Jameson Crowder and Richardson and all them really have the firepower to keep up with Drew Brees and that offense inside of a dome? So that's something that I think we need to sort of take into consideration as well. Is how many points can the Redskins actually score? And like you said, does this end up turning into Mark Ingram just running out the clock at the end of the game because New Orleans offense has just put up too many points?
So very limited faith in the Redskins offense here. Limited faith in like Chris Thompson, Alex Smith.
I like those players on like an individual basis, but I wonder if is Alex Smith really going to be able to, lead a sustained offensive attack, downfield. We haven't really seen it that much from him. I know all of his numbers are great, but he doesn't throw for a ton of yards typically. Some of his the Redskins defensive numbers look solid, but they haven't really played much in terms of opponents. They played Arizona in week 1. Sam Bradford was terrible. The Colts haven't looked good really this year. So, aside from facing the Packers last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, I don't know how tested their defense is really. I don't know. This game to me seems like a blowout for the Saints. That's kind of how I'm feeling.
Okay, listen, can't fault you for that. You think it's going to be a blowout? You think it's going to be a blowout? If it is a blowout, then yeah, it does pivot a lot towards using Mark Ingram and getting that dual running back action from the Saints there, and then you kind of figure out whether or not you want a running back or a wide receiver for your flex spot. Let's talk receivers on the Saints side then. Josh Norman is playing. He is fine. He put in a full practice on Saturday, put a full practice on Friday, put a full practice in again on Saturday. You got to figure that he's going to end up shadowing Michael Thomas. If that's the case, with Ted Ginn out, are we looking at, is this, I said it on the air today, to Traquan or not to Traquan? That's the question here. I kind of like Meredith in this situation.
I feel like this has been the Meredith spot we've been waiting for. Obviously, he came back in week 3, had the one catch for a touchdown. Last week, his usage rate went up a little bit more. Percentage of snaps were there, and he got more active. 3 catches, 4 targets, 32 yards. With Ginn being out, I really think that this is an opportunity for Meredith to do something. Like you said, Norman and the rest of the defense can be focused on shutting down Michael Thomas. I think both are probably going to be in play, Smith and Meredith, but I'm really looking for some things out of Meredith tonight to maybe potentially trust him further along this season than just this one spot with Ginn out. I really feel like he's a better receiver. Ted Ginn, for as good as he's been over the last couple of years, that seemingly has been above his skill set. I mean, I guess we can't take away from what he's done, but I feel like Meredith is better for the offense, a better receiver for them. So I'm interested to see how well he performs tonight with the opportunity.
Okay, any thoughts on Ben Watson?
Yeah, I mean, there's another guy that he seemingly finds his way into being productive each week. More often than not. We know Drew Brees likes to target the tight end. It was a couple weeks ago he had like 5 catches for 70 yards. Yeah, I mean, again, he's cheap enough, and on this, you're going to pay up for the high-priced players. You're going to need to find some value. Going in with the tight end could be a spot for that to happen.
Very nice, very nice. All right, what's up, everybody? Looking over at YouTube page here. Yoshi Mike, what's going on? Yes, you did make the right call with Isaiah Crowell. Any shares of Isaiah Crowell there, John?
No, I didn't have any shares of the Jets. So Robbie Anderson decided to catch his only passes of the year, and 176 yards and 2 touchdowns or something.
I know, right? It just cracks me up. I actually, in 2 leagues, I actually faced the same guy, Alex Dunlap from Roster Watch, and on both teams, I was actually forced to start Isaiah Crowell.
So I had Isaiah Crowell in that Fantrax Dynasty League that we're in. So that worked out well for me.
Ah, see, there you go. Love that. Love that. All right, let's talk about a couple of other players that everybody's asking about. I mean, we might as well talk about the running game here for the Redskins. Any interest in Adrian Peterson tonight versus Chris Thompson, or you're pretty much set on this? Saints are going to blow him out. Washington's going to need to abandon the run and just deal with the passing game.
So that's why I love Chris Thompson, because he catches the football. I think Adrian Peterson, a lot of people were talking some sort of revenge narrative for Adrian Peterson because of the cup of coffee he had here in New Orleans. He holds some grudge against them. That might be true. I don't really know, too much of his feelings, I guess, towards the Saints organization. I know he was unhappy with his role here, but I mean, really enough to be calling this a revenge game. It was week 2 against the Colts. Chris Thompson had 13 catches on 14 targets for 92 yards. In week 1, he had 6 catches for 7 targets. Obviously, week 3 wasn't used nearly as much as I think he should have been in that game. But, again, they were winning. They grounded the clock. I think this could be a big game for him as, Washington tries to keep up with this Saints offense. I'm expecting big things out of Chris Thompson. I really like the price tag on him in the Monday-Thursday games. Just $5,800. I think that's a good spot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And using him in a bunch of spots, both FanDuel and DraftKings for my Monday-Thursday. Let's talk about the wide receivers then for Washington. The guys who I'm on, listen, Josh Doxson's out. So you've got Maurice Harris, who everybody is seemingly on now. All of a sudden it was boom, he shows up. Talk to me about Marshawn Lattimore. Is he going to pivot over to Paul Richardson? Are we going to have to worry about that? And what does that do for Jamison Crowder in the slot? Give me your thoughts on the Skins receivers.
Yeah, well, I mean, Crowder's just been so unexciting as a fantasy player to roster. He's only had 4 targets in each of the first 3 games. Hasn't caught more than 4 passes. He's fortunate to find the end zone against Green Bay to really help out fantasy owners there. But other than that, it just hasn't been as good as I thought he would have been with Alex Smith. I figured Alex Smith would have utilized him out of the slot a lot. The underneath passes, the screens and whatnot. But it just really seemingly hasn't been there for him. But again, we're talking about a Saints defense that's allowing the most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this year. I think you got to take a look at everybody. I kind of like Paul Richardson tonight because if they're going to have to take some downfield shots, I feel like he's going to be the guy to get them. But like you said, if Lattimore's there, how much has Lattimore really, played well this year given how bad the defense has been? I know he's their shutdown corner, but I feel like the Saints have still been giving up plenty of yards even with him on the field. So yeah, I think I have a little bit more interest probably in Jordan Reed, the tight end, to be honest with you. I know the Saints have good numbers, positional-wise against the tight end this year, but, there's a guy that 7 and 8 targets the last 2 weeks. I think he's starting to catch Smith's eye, and, Alex Smith is comfortable throwing to his tight end, we've seen over the last handful of years in Kansas City.
All right, so rank them in order of most you'd like to use and least you'd like to use. Is it going to go Reed, Richardson, Harris?
Yeah, I think that's where
Crowder?
I don't really love Crowder tonight. I mean, I just feel like they need to go downfield. Doing these some short passes with him, I feel like they could just as easily use Chris Thompson in that role instead and be more effective. So, yeah, I'd probably put Crowder last. To be honest with you, I don't know much about this Harris character. I know I've heard people talk about him today. What do you know about him other than he's played one game and hasn't been targeted?
Yeah, one game hasn't been targeted. Listen, you know what? He's God. Do you remember when the Eagles were running around with Mac Hollins?
Yeah, familiar. Sounds familiar. Yeah.
All right, so it's kind of like that situation here. I think Harris is much more of a deep threat. Stretch the field. He's got really good speed. He's got decent hands. The thing is that they haven't had that type of an offensive scheme where they really need to count on that, where they need to rely on it. Like Richardson's the guy who stretches the field. Doxson, I mean, who knows with Doxson, whether or not he's just a chain mover or whatnot. He just doesn't get the work. And then you're right, Crowder's the guy with the short passing game, and maybe they work him in between the 20s, and then Jordan Reed is their go-to guy in the end zone. So maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to shift around some of these lineups here and talk about using like the dual tight end set. Because I love Zach Ertz. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. We can talk about Thursday's game another time. But I love Zach Ertz going up against the Giants here, and I feel like this is going to be a nice situation for him. 3 games out of 5 where he's got 10 or more receptions. So when you put that into play, I think you got to do that. But you think I don't know, man. I'll detail the lineups a little bit here. I don't want to give it away because this one's free for the live stream's free. But the question is that, okay, if I'm looking at, let's say I'm looking at starting two Redskins, one wide receiver, one flex. Am I going Reed and Harris? Am I going Reed and Richardson? Am I going Richardson and Harris? Where do you like it?
I'm using Reed and Richardson. I just think those are the two safest players in that passing attack at tight end and wide receiver. I still like Chris Thompson, too. I'd almost rather play probably Thompson over Richardson. I don't know if you could fit that salary-wise, do Thompson and Reed. But, yeah, if you're doing receiver tight end, it's Reed and Richardson for me.
Yeah, let me see if I can play around with just looking at a couple of my lineups here and see. Without giving it all away. Yeah, see, I'm using a lot of Thompson as well. I've got Thompson in there, and then there's somewhere it's like, okay, I've got Thompson and Harris, or I've got Thompson and Richardson, but I don't have all three of them in a lineup together. I like Thompson Richardson. I definitely like that. But you think I should get a little Oh, I tell you, I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different combinations. I mean, like I said, these things are such crapshoots. Aldrich Robinson 2 weeks ago we talked about getting the 2 touchdowns.
You didn't know that as soon as the announcer said it when he threw the first touchdown pass to Aldrich Robinson and the announcer was like, "What's that?" I thought it was Treadwell too. I was like, "Yeah, I got Treadwell in my lineups here. Differentiate from the pack." No, it didn't happen. And then the announcer's like, "Well, Kirk Cousins has history here with Aldrich Robinson from back in their Washington days together." Says like so matter of fact, like, yeah, duh, you should have known that.
Yeah. No, that was such a crap game to see. I mean, I loved it from the point standpoint because stacking offense in that game, you just hit the jackpot. But I mean, 2 of those scores going to him, that's just crazy. So really anything could happen. Harris could be the guy. Alex Smith can start throwing downfield. These things you just never really know. You can only do the best you can with the information you have in front of you.
There you go. Such a you should be on a mountaintop with a long flowing beard, wearing wearing a tunic or something like that. Let's see if we got any other questions here. The baby birds with the hand holding here. I'm down 69 points. I got Breeze, Kamara, Lutz. He's got nobody left. Do I have a chance?
Breeze, Kamara, and who?
And Lutz. I'll tell you what, Jay Mercer here. If Breeze, Kamara, and Lutz combine for 70 points, then you're all set. Smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's true. If they score you enough points to win, then you have a chance.
Yeah. Guido Herrera says he's down 67 points. He's got Breeze and Kamara. So I would say if Breeze and Kamara can combine for 68 points, he's all good.
It's not the worst duo because Breeze is probably going to put Kamara.
Well, I'll tell you, man, if Guido Herrera wins his game, there's no doubt that Jay Mercer ends up winning his game because that would only require 2 extra points from Lutz. And it's so funny.
I need like 60 points from Crowder and Thompson tonight. I've already given up on that league, so not even gonna bother checking the game cast to see how I'm doing there.
I think in the Fantasy Alarm League, in the listener league that we have going on over at Sirius, I think I have like a 12. I'm down 12 points. I've got Drew Brees.
Oh,
feeling pretty good.
Should feel very good about that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about. So that's the Monday night game. We're all set. We're locked in with that. Let's talk about because we got a couple of minutes left here, John. Let's talk about things that we've taken away from Week 5 and how this is going to help us moving forward. Like a couple of weird situations here. And again, it's so like the state of the running back position is in such disarray for me right now because not only are we talking about the fact that people have, Lev Bell isn't reporting until Week 8. The fact that Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook, Jordan Howard, Kenyon Drake, these guys all suck. All suck beyond belief, and it's been an absolute nightmare.
Frank Gore got more carries than Kenyon Drake the other day.
Well, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. Like, all of a sudden, Kenyon Drake's a third down back, John, because he got 7 passes.
I told so many people with this whole Kenyon Drake love that I don't trust the Miami Dolphins coaching staffs and their running backs. It's gone back years. They never used Lamar Miller enough. They didn't use J.J. enough. They're not using Kenny Drake like they should. And then adding Frank Gore actually gave them like a capable running back because no matter how many times people say Frank Gore is gone, he's not. He's still a very productive runner. They give him the carries. It seems like they might figure that out. If you look at Gore's last 2 weeks, 11 carries and 12 carries. I don't know. Like maybe they just utilize Drake's catching skill set and use Gore as a runner because it seems like Gore might be the better runner right now. I don't know.
I don't really know either. And again, you can't trust Adam Gase to do the right thing. The other two situations, how about Harbaugh in Baltimore? Still screwing up Alex Collins. Watching this kid rip 10, 11, 15 yards at a time in between the 20s. If you want to get the kid to stop fumbling at the goal line, you still got to give him reps. You still got to let him try. You got to give him that option there. I mean, and then
I don't know. That can be costly. Alex Collins is lucky he didn't play in New England because he might have been kicked off the team by now with all his fumbling problems. So I think Harbaugh understands how precious points are, and if Collins can't hold on to the football, why continue to risk it? That's costing you games.
Yeah, well, not establishing a legitimate ground game is costing them games too. I mean, come on. You just lost in overtime to the Browns.
Yes, that's not ideal. I agree with you. Can we talk about Aaron Jones?
That was the other one I wanted to get to.
Why Packers won't give him the football when he's averaging 5 yards a carry or whatever it was?
5.7. Yeah. You said that the other day, and I was like, I did the full spit take. You're like, yeah. I mean, come on. You're only averaging 5.7 yards per carry. Why should I let you run?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I mean, I get game flow maybe went away from him early because they were down 24-0 at halftime. I mean, what the hell, Green Bay? But I mean, still, he's getting you, half a first down every single time he touches the football. So I don't know. That seems to be good. It seems to be working.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, when it's first and goal at the 2, why wouldn't you throw to Lance Kendricks instead of handing the ball off to Aaron Jones? So what do you do? I mean, to me, the cream always rises to the top. You'd like to think that's the case.
He's the better running back. You have to just keep playing him because if at worst he's like a flex play still.
Right.
Obviously you don't want to have him be your RB1, RB2 right now, but that's his upside. If for whatever reason the Packers ever get a lead in the game, maybe he gets 15 carries and he's going for 98 yards and a score or something. He can break long runs. He's better than. It's just they need to play him. I don't know. I would. Sometimes you just question if coaches are able to see talent. Aaron Rodgers has come out and was critical of the offense. I think it was last week or the week before then, saying that they're just not producing like they should. Guys aren't performing as well as they should. Maybe that's hey, give Jones more carries because he's actually a capable runner.
You'd like to think, and then McCarthy came out today when he was criticized for his lack of use of Aaron Jones, turns around and said, well, it's more than just running the football. And he basically just came right out and said that he doesn't think Aaron Jones is a good pass blocker. If you looked at the snaps, I think Aaron Jones had 4 snaps out of 50 pass blocking situations for the running backs, and it all went to Jamal Williams. And yeah, I see you shaking your head. It's ridiculously aggravating here. And now, I mean, let's face it. Where are you going for your running backs? Like, are you just banking on maybe Cook getting healthy? Are you banking on the Bears waking up and giving Jordan Howard the actual work? Where are you going for your running backs now?
Man, I went all in on Jordan Howard this year, and that was pretty painful what happened the other day. And granted, they just scored so quickly that they just didn't really ever have a position to, like, use Jordan Howard. Right. Like, the Buccaneers did absolutely nothing to stop them defensively. So, I mean, I'm just going to, chalk it up to hopefully that, and next game they'll get Howard more involved. I mean, but yeah, that's pretty rough to have him on your team. I don't know what you're going to do with running back. This is what we talk about every year, right? Like, this is why the zero RB strategy came into play, because all these guys are either underperforming or getting hurt or whatever, and you can always find guys off the waiver wire, they say. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. People are going to be spending like half their fab budget on Wendell Smallwood this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just absolutely insane. Mike Davis, didn't he score again this week? Yeah, he scored again. Like, where did Mike Davis come from?
So here's the thing. You and I talked about the Seattle backfield a couple of live streams ago, and you said, you're like, is Pete Carroll going to give Chris Carson, 30 carries again, or do I not invest in him? You ready for this one here, John? So I did a little number crunching. You look at the last 3 games so Seattle, week 1, they lose. Backfield, running backs had 14 carries for 59 yards. Okay. Week 2, they lost to the Bears. All right. 19 carries out of the backfield, 57 yards. Week 3, they win. 35 carries for Chris Carson, 107 yards in total. Week 4, they win. 30 carries from their running backs, 150 rushing yards. This past week, they drop a heartbreaker to the Rams, played them super tough, 32 carries for the backfield, 184 yards. Carson, Davis, now suddenly combining for a much more effective backfield, and this offensive line that we've been like, man, these guys friggin' suck, are showing that they're very similar to like what the Jets' offensive line is. They can run block beautifully. The zone blocking for the running game has been fantastic. It's the pass protection that they suck. And so Russell Wilson's running for his life, just like Sam Darnold's got to like take 2 steps and throw it, because the pass blocking, pass protection is garbage.
I mean, I think it was the last Wednesday's live stream, I want to say, or it could have even been Monday's, where I said that. Like, the problem with the Seahawks over the last few years is they really got away from their identity as a team, which is smash mouth, run the football, like, let Russell Wilson be kind of a game manager, but a guy that can still make plays. Like, he can make the throws and bring them downfield if they need to, but the offense should be running the football behind an offensive line that, it's much easier to run block than it is pass block. And, that's what we're seeing. But I think they fell behind, the way the league was trending, this downfield offense, like, unleash the quarterback. And Wilson being as talented as he was, but, they didn't really ever provide him with weapons, right? Like, they let, Doug Baldwin, he's a good receiver, but I mean, is he a great receiver, or is he just a product of being the number 1 receiver in that offense?
Right.
So I mean, I think they kind of got away from who they were, and yeah, they'll be more successful if they focus on running the football. And I think they also got hurt by signing guys like Eddie Lacy to be the guy to run the football and relying on top
man. Right? Are you fat shaming? Are you fat shaming already?
I don't fat shame. That'd be throwing stones on a glass house. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, the talent that they had to run the ball those years was horrible. But now they have guys that seemingly can run the football. They invested in Penny, who they're not using, but they invested a pick in him. So yeah, run the football if it's giving you success, and you'll be better. It seems like.
Very all right. So who would you rather have? Would you rather go after Wendell Smallwood, or would you rather go after Chris Carson? Would you rather go after Mike Davis? Josh Adams? Come on, let it fly.
I feel like I'm going Smallwood. I believe in the Eagles' offense a little bit better. Smallwood can catch the football, and I think he's going to get a bigger role running the ball as well. Plus, you look at some of the matchups that they have down the line. Kind of like the Eagles here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you as well. Wendell Smallwood for me. I go Chris Carson, then Mike Davis, And then I'm going to start looking at Josh Adams, though. I've got Corey Clement stashed away on a number of benches. I don't even know what to do with him at this point.
Yeah. Well, so that's the other thing is if Clement ever really comes back and is healthy, like I feel like he's probably the more talented running back of that group, but he's just dealing with injuries himself. So he's another guy that can catch the football and run. So, those dual threat backs are useful in fantasy, and I think it's all about opportunity. But like I've just been saying for the last couple of weeks now, like this Eagles team, coaching staff, whatever, they like Wendell Smallwood. They've been talking. He's been sort of lingering there for a couple of years now. So I think he's still the guy that they're going to use.
All right, beautiful, great stuff. As always, guys, the game is less than an hour away from Monday Night Football. Time to go check out your lineups. If you're playing the Monday-Thursday slate, make sure it happens. If you got to get certain guys in to your lineup to end up winning your Week 5 games, by all means. John, do you want to give a prediction of the score here? Saints 162, Redskins 3, something like that?
No, we'll go 32-17 Saints.
32-17 Saints. All right, as long as those 17 points come from Chris Thompson and Paul Richardson, I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with that. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here today on the Monday Night live stream for Fantasy Alarm. As always, you can hit John up on Twitter at jmpemba777. You can reach out to me at RotoBuzzGuy. You can also hit us up on the Fantasy Alarm chat on the homepage of the website. For John and Pemba, I'm Howard Bender. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you guys soon.